So yeah, let's break down what's actually going on with this. So as I was saying, I did a little interview prior to this, and I was asked the difference between performing live and DJing, and obviously they are different disciplines, but as you might have seen just then, what I do is a little bit like DJing as well, in as much that I essentially have 2 channels of audio that's basically what this breaks down to. So we've got the Octatrack channel on this side, and then we've got the Syntakt channel. That's the short version of what's going on. And this mixer is what I have on my rider, usually, on my tech rider, ideally. This is the one that I'm sort of used to using the most. Occasionally I get some sort of like Allen and Heath people who frown upon the Pioneer brand slightly, but I am a big fan of it because of the extra effects. That's basically why I like this mixer as opposed to an Allen and Heath one. The filters do sound better on the Allen and Heath one, but it's just got the extra like layer of effects, which are just really useful. It's either this one or the V10 one, which is like the really chunky one, which is great as well. But actually, this is the one that I know the best, so ideally, this is the one that I have. Yeah, the Octatrack is on channel 2 here. Simple, right? It doesn't actually need like any external processing, really, because it has so many effects in it. I'll go into exactly what's going on with my sort of template that I use for the Octatrack most of the time. And then on the other side, we've got the Syntakt. So the Syntakt, I find, does need a bit of processing. As you can see, it's got like a whole bunch of pedals attached to it. So in terms of the audio, what's going on with this is the audio is coming out of the cyclone. I'll cover MIDI in a second. So audio comes out of the cyclone into the little tube screamer. This pedal is just really, it's kind of set and forget, to be honest. I don't really tweak this much. Occasionally I turn it off so it's a bit of a cleaner sound. What I'm really using it for mostly is it's like a gain staging thing, because what I find is the output of this and the input of the external stuff on the Syntakt is not quite high enough compared to everything else. Also, gain staging is not something that the Syntakt does particularly well, as opposed to the Octatrack. So yeah, I made a whole bunch of patterns really loud, because it kind of like it also, you can kind of clip it, the Syntakt as well, and it can sound quite nice if you don't do it too much. And so I've kind of, a load of the tracks that I made prior to getting the 303 involved were already at that loudness, so it kind of like needed to be loud then. So that's why I got this. So yeah, the audio comes out there into here, into the external input on the Syntakt. And then sometimes that's got effects, well, quite a lot of the time, it will have like little bits of splash of delay and reverb coming off the Syntakt as well. Sometimes I'll run it into the effects block on the Syntakt as well. I'll go a bit more in depth with this in a moment. And then the stereo, so that's obviously mixed with the drums and the other sounds that are in the Syntakt. Stereo out is then going into the chroma console, which is like a multi-effects pedal. I really like this thing. It's like really simple, but it sounds great, and I don't actually get involved with any of the presets or anything on that, because the whole thing's color-coded, so I can just quite easily, when I'm like on the fly doing stuff, I can go, that color, and it will just kind of pull up the effect that I want, without me the way it's going at the moment is I've already got 2 screens going on, so I thought I don't want another like another screen-based thing. I did consider the even-tired one, which I know is obviously like really like hench effects box, but again, I just didn't want to get into like menu diving for effects as well. So it's like this kind of works better from a performance point of view. For me, all of these things are completely personal, obviously, but and then we are going stereo out of here into the Electro Harmonics platform. This is just doing very kind of simple limiting duties, basically. So I've tried more expensive options than that more recently, and they didn't sound as good. Now this pedal is like 120 quid, and it just basically, it's not doing like loads, but it's just kind of gluing all of the kind of bits together. And then, before it goes into channel 3, we're going into this, which is a stereo sidechain. It's an analog stereo sidechain pedal called the Pill. It's made in Switzerland by this small company. And basically, what that does is takes the cue out from the Octatrack. So coming out of the cue out are mostly just kick drums and also sometimes snare drums. And so that will basically sidechain whatever's going on in this channel, it will sidechain to the kick drum on the Octatrack. It just kind of makes, I have a more stripped down version of the set, which I sometimes have to play if there's like a luggage restriction on the airline or something like that. And in that case, I won't take this, and it will just be the chroma console on this, just because that's what fits in like the smaller. I'll show you, this is the one I usually take out. See, I can basically get everything in that Peli case, and plus a few cables in the backpack. But on some airlines, they don't let me take that, so in which case I've got like a smaller one, which, and then I don't take the Pill pedal with me. It's not like, this one is just like an extra little bit of fun, really. It's not like I can play a set without it. It's just, it's nice to have an option when you take all the drums out on the Syntakt and you've just got like the synths going. It's quite nice then to like have a live jam with like the drums on the Octatrack, and you can like sidechain it, and it just sounds like quite live and sort of interesting. So yeah, that's the audio side of things for the routing of the audio stuff. The MIDI, so yeah, that just translates into 2 and 3 on this mixer. And then obviously I've got the extra effects. I've used the beat effects on here as well. You could see me doing some of that filter, and I think I might have hit the dub echo by mistake with my little finger, but it sort of worked. And then, yeah, I just, you know, usually I'm just kind of using, you know, the reverb and delay just for like extra little bits of transition when you're coming out of one channel and into another, much the same way you might do when you're DJing, sort of thing. So then the MIDI is, Octatrack is basically master clock, right? So stop start on here, stop starts everything basically. I'm really into stop start when I'm playing as well, because you can get into some interesting places with that. Actually, let me just demonstrate one. Yeah, so basically I sort of, this is the sort of thing I'm talking about. I discovered this like by mistake by pressing stop at the right or wrong time, depending on which way you look at it. But in order to get this to actually work live, I have to stop it exactly the right time, and sometimes I don't exactly, and then have to do it again. But I quite like the sort of like rough and ready bit. Sometimes it's like, I like the fact that, you know, if you go to see someone live, you can actually see them doing something and sort of making like little minor mistakes. I don't mind that. Yeah, let me turn that off. That one. And there we go. Yeah. It works. We could really just go crazy on the effects if you want, I suppose. Anyway, yeah, you get the idea. I've managed to just completely mess the effects up there, but anyway. Yeah, so just things like that are just like quite fun. Just like notes hanging, stuff like that. Like tails of effects and so yeah, that's my master start stop. So usually I don't even press play and stop on this one. It's all about that one. And then if it's like also on the Octatrack, sometimes you have like longer patterns as well that aren't just like 4 bars. You can get ones that are like 8 bars or 16 bars. And then if I want to re-trigger that, I might do some of that while that one's playing, sort of thing. So you don't hear this one stopping, you just hear the sort of synths sort of doing something else on this channel. So there's usually quite a lot of that stuff going on. Yeah, so then the MIDI, that's just MIDI clock out into the Syntakt. And then we go MIDI out, not through, but out into the Chroma console first. And then just literally so it gets clock for the sort of rhythmical like effects, basically, like so it syncs the delays and stuff like that. And then that's going through into the 303. So most of my acid patterns are being sequenced by the Syntakt. I do have some as well that are like internal on the sequencer of the 303, which I sometimes use as well if I'm feeling particularly like, oh, just see if I can dial in another one off this. I actually don't really enjoy programming 303s at all. Yeah, I find, I mean, I've been, you know, I've had this is a fairly close like clone in terms of the sequencer of the real 303, and it's something that I should be used to by now, but I find it a really you know, a very unintuitive sequencer method. You can get some interesting stuff out of it for sure, but in terms of like, I want to do this for my brain. No, actually, having said that, Chris Liberator can actually do that. I've seen him do that, and he can go and he can think, because you know how you have to do the pitches first, and then the rhythm, and he can actually go from his brain and do that. I'm like, wow, okay, fair enough.